Hello all and welcome to the video companion for the Talking Time Let's Play of Final Fantasy XIV. I'm McDole, and today we're tackling an ancient temple to one of Eorzea's 12, Ashan the Wanderer's Palace. Right off the bat, you can see a couple of random adventurers accosting a Tonberry, the Final Fantasy iconic monsters that are super creepy, carry lanterns and chef's knives, and will doink the player until they are dead. These two treasure hunters will get their comeuppance and be accosted by a larger Tonberry, a stalker. This is all gonna happen off camera because we're pulling like maniacs, as per usual. One thing to note is that a lot of the treasure chests in this dungeon and also the previous dungeon, Amdapur Keep, contain well-worn weapons. These weapons are part of the crafting recipe needed to craft those relic weapons. So keep a lookout for them because one thing you can do is craft them yourself and flip them on the market board for a tidy profit with little to no effort. The Nemean civilization existed during the 5th Astral Era, controlling the Isle of Vilbrand, and was involved directly in the 6th Umbral Calamity, the Great Flood that ended the War of the Magi. One such weapon employed by the Mahi nation against Nim was called the Green Death, a plague that wiped them out. By the time anyone made contact with Vilbrand during the 6th Astral Era, Nim was all but gone and its major cities and structures destroyed or drowned by the floods of the 6th Umbral Calamity. I don't want to get into a lot more detail than that because a lot of what happened to Nim is covered in another job story, and I'm not going to spoil anything that I can't avoid. In the interest of helping you, the reader and viewer, decide on what class that Satsunsweet is going to go into during the next expansion, I'm going to go a little more in depth on the other jobs available. Aris, the white mage here, is a healer. We have 3 basic attack spells. Arrow, which applies a damage over time effect, Stone, which is for direct single target damage, and Holy, a point-blank AoE spell that damages and stuns any enemy in the radius. This is an incredibly powerful mitigation tool, as white mages can keep a pack of enemies stunned for a good 8 to 10 seconds, meaning that no auto attacks are coming out. For the healing options, they focus mainly on direct reactive healing in the form of fast regeneration. Pound for pound of the 3 healers, White Mage offers the most powerful options for direct burst healing. This Gubu, the keeper of Haladam, will likely go down with little difficulty. As long as the tank keeps him faced away from the rest of the party, that eliminates a lot of the damage that comes from cleaving attacks. There's also Inhale, which drags anyone in front of him into melee range. He's also got a pollen attack called Gubu's Grief, which poisons anyone in the melee range, and Moldy Phlegm, which sounds gross as it actually looks, targets a random player with a circular AoE. Anyone hit with this attack will suffer reduced effectivity of healing abilities. Ashan is the patron deity to Nim, so this dungeon gives you a good idea of what Nemean architecture was like. From this point on to the rest of the dungeon, make sure that when you kill the Tonberries that appear throughout, that you pick up the dropped lantern oil that lands on the ground. You'll need this oil to lubricate some of the rusted devices in order to proceed. In this chamber, there are two more Tonberry Stalkers prowling the pathways, so you'll need to be careful to stay away from them as best you can. You'll be targeted by their very nasty attack, Throat Stab, which can deal over 1,000 points of damage, putting a serious hurt on a non-tank. You can't actually attack or target them, so your only option is to run away. You'll want to attack and kill these two smaller Tonberries and obtain their lantern oil to lubricate the two rusted devices in order to open up this door in order to exit to the chamber to the north. In the room beyond is the second boss, the giant Bavaroi. Like the previous boss, with Ironworks gear that's available, this boss's difficulty is severely reduced. You actually can be synced up to item level 110 in this dungeon that was designed for item level 55. The boss itself likes to target a player and use a morphic flail, and summons various colored flan ads. The fight lasts long enough for them to matter. The white and purple ones are the most significant threat, as the white ones will inflict a heavy debuff on the player, slowing their movement speed, and the purple one will inflict paralysis. So if the mood strikes, you can kill those, but killing the giant Bavaroi will be long enough to end the fight and despawn any ads that it calls. In the hallway beyond are more Nimian spirits and more Tonberries. Be careful, as when the party passes into this corridor, another Tonberry Stalker will appear behind you and march after the party, so you'll need to move quickly. Defeat the monsters along the way, and make sure you pick up the lantern oil from the fallen Tonberries. Once you've reached the end of the hallway and activated the two devices, the door to the final boss chamber opens, and the tall Tonberry Stalker gives up the chase. As you might have guessed, the boss of this dungeon is the Tonberry King. Unfortunately, defeating him will not add him to your team as a guardian force like in Final Fantasy VIII. In between these auto attacks, he has a lateral slash attack and a skill called Whetstone, which will increase the damage of his next lateral slash. Occasionally, he'll like to pick another target and hit it with either sharpened knife if they're in melee range, or the Scourge of Nim if they're at range. Throughout the fight, the Tonberry King will summon other Tonberries to his side. Under no circumstances should you kill those Tonberries, as killing one will give the king a stack of Rancor in preparation for his strongest attack, Everyone's Grudge. This deals damage to everyone proportional to the number of Rancor stacks on the king. Just keep burning him down. At about a quarter health, we'll bring out his old friends, the Tonberry Slashers from earlier in the dungeon, to do their thing. But as you can see, as long as you keep the focus on the Tonberry King, you'll come out on top. That'll do it for this dungeon. I thank you very much for watching. The links to the full Let's Play are in the description below, and may you ever walk in the light of the crystal.